Hi fam. So I want us to talk about something that I know is going to spark about mixed up emotions and some feelings here and there, probably with the government mostly, because they are the people who catches the feelings the most, and then they send some Subaru boys to come and arrest me. But anyway, the fact is that a spade is a spade, regardless of how you try to, to silence people, silence dissent and all that. Let's talk about Nepal. Why does everything that is happening in Nepal sounds familiar? Why does it even look familiar? Remember June 25th when we had our Gen Z uprising and everything seemed quite similar. I tried to take my time just to understand why are the Nepalese, of all the people, how nobody could imagine that these dudes could do whatever they have done. They could have, reclaimed their power. And I'm talking about this guided by the Kenyan constitution, that the sovereign power belongs to the people and people can reclaim it back when they want. Anyway, I'm not here to bring about or spark about or, awake the sleeping giant, but let's have this conversation. Everything seems familiar to me. In Nepal, leadership has been rotating within a very small circle of elites, the politicians, the same similar faces for decades. Exactly the same thing that we have in Kenya right now. Exactly the same thing. So if you're coming for me, come with some facts, and I'm coming with facts. So Nepal, they got agitated, they got frustrated because of what? Corruption, nepotism, inequality. And the hashtag that made the government try and ban the social media. Same way the Kenyan government wanted to ban the social media in terms of censorship. They want to censor they want to censor the social media because of misinformation and all that. They did the same to Nepal. You know what happened in Nepal? The Nepalese, they were like, why are we living a very bad life while the kids of the elites, they are living their best life? So they started a hashtag, Nepo Kids. So these Nepo Kids was showcasing the lifestyle of these elites. Those flashy hotels, nice cars and everything. Can you imagine? Something familiar, something that you already know. Nepal, in the financial year 2023 and 2024, they sent abroad 740 something thousand of their Nepalese to go and work abroad. Harsh conditions, some of them good jobs, who knows? But the fact they send almost 1 million people to go and work abroad in 1 year. Estimatedly, they send about 65,000 Nepalese to go and work abroad on yearly basis and on monthly basis. Nepal has a population of about 30 million people, sitting in between China and India. Two great countries. So you can imagine the kind of trade that can happen there, the kind of economical growth they can have due to where their country is strategically, situated. But the Nepalese have been facing quite the worst, quite similar to what we've been facing. But these guys, in 17 years, they've had 15 governments. That tells you that their democracy is walking on eggshells. But again, if I look at democracy in my country, it's also like walking on eggshells, because the constitution says this, but the politicians, they have their own type of constitution that they follow. And if you speak some things that sparks their emotions, then the Subaru boys, like even right now, probably I post these after 2 days, they send the Subaru boys, simply because they might think, oh, your speech will spark the Gen Z revolution, or your speech, will bring about the sleeping giant. I'm speaking facts. These are things we can actually see. Abel Mutua, no, is it Abel Mutua? Guys, you help me. I don't want to mention the wrong person here. Mutua, these guys of, this is the movie director, who is the minister for, I don't know, foreign jobs and whatever. Together with WSR, Ruto, with the ideas of sending Kenyans to go and work abroad. It's the same thing. Can you imagine in Nepal, the people who work abroad, they bring about 30% of their total GDP. that means the government, the country is depending on remittances that people have to go and work abroad. What happens to the things that the taxes the government collect, the businesses the government conduct, the things that the government does? Where does the money go? Into the pockets, making them rich and sustaining their lifestyles. And this is what got the Nepalese agitated, because they cannot even get jobs in their own country. The jobs are shared amongst the political elites and their close families. So now tell me why these Nepalese cannot get angry. Tell me why they're not going to do whatever they did, burning the parliament, chasing these ministers naked and all that, and the president trying to look for places where they can run. It's going to happen simply because, you cannot spark people's anger for so long and you expect that, there is an analogy that said that if you put a frog, in a boiling water, it might hold because of the heat, but whatever. I forgot that thing, so I'm not going to make sense with it. But you already understand what I'm trying to say. Most of the things that I have seen happening with the Gen Z revolutions in Nepal is quite similar to exactly the same things that we have happening in our own country. These are things that could spark the similar kind of reaction, because in every action, there is a reaction. When people get tired too much and you push them too much on the wall, it reaches a place and they need to retaliate. Remember that guy during the recent revolutions, the guy who said like, poo, 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 una retaliate. That's that kind of a retaliation. It's quite obvious that it will happen over time. It's just a matter of when. So even whatever that you see that things are cooling down in Kenya right now, I kind of like think it's just a matter of when. They are waiting for a tipping on the iceberg. Same like the government tried to ban the social media in Nepal to stop the hashtag NepoKids. And that's where the hell broke loose. The hell broke loose. You know what I'm saying, yeah? And that's what led to whatever we are seeing now. So when you look at Nepal, the things that have happened right now, they don't have a government, and probably the president, because the prime minister already resigned, and a couple of other politicians, they have resigned because they are afraid of what is happening. So the president has already called, like, those Gen Z representatives, some of them, so that they can have a negotiation and see how they can, have like a cooperative government, like maybe try and, see whom they can fix here and there. But again, even though they lifted the ban on social media and all that, and tried, to impose this military and all that, because even now, the way I look at it, the president might have a co-joint government and the military to help run that country. Why does everything sound familiar? Why does everything look like all these countries, regardless of, the positioning of the geopolitics, the kind of problems they are facing are quite similar? Everything is quite similar. Look at the things that are affecting Kenya. The first cancer problem that is affecting Kenya is corruption. Corruption. People thought that whatever triggered, or whatever that the Gen Zs made them go to the streets in Nepal is banning of the social media. No, that was just very, very tiny thing. That was the tipping point. People were already tired because of corruption, nepotism, tribalism, all these things, and power only being juggled between two very small a group of elites, and the lifestyle, the opulence that we have seen in Kenya until we are getting tired. So the Kenyan politicians, if you guys are capable of learning with Nepal's blueprint, it's time for you to understand that the power that people donated to you, they can reclaim it back if they want to. I'm not trying to spark some conversation. Don't come for me. It doesn't require you to be a rocket scientist for you to understand, or rather to see that it can be a tipping point where you guys are trying to bring about the bill for, extending term limits and all this. Continue with whatever you're doing. You want to extend term limits so you can continue stealing more and all that. You saw what happened. They came for the property. They came for you as an individual. the families and all that. I'm not trying to tell the Kenyan people to do the same because I'm a Kenyan. You understand? But again, I'm saying there's a possibility of this thing happening. I mean, you don't need to be a scientist for you to understand that the possibility, the probability of it happening, it's like 90%. So it's better you guys, you shape, is it shaping or shape out? You start doing things right. You understand? I mean, you can't be Ruto president, Mr. President, you can't be pushing the youth outside the country to go and work there while we are supposed to be focusing on, rebuilding our country, bringing about new industries, creating jobs locally so that people don't have to go abroad and work there. Some of us are working in very tough conditions. But when you look at the opulence that is happening in our country, when you look at State House, chai and mandazi, for those people who don't understand what is chai and mandazi, this is breakfast. This is some bitings and tea. Our State House, where the president resides, they spend about 17 million on daily basis. Right? Is it daily basis or weekly or monthly for breakfast only? That's how much the opulence. Our president used 12 million. Was it 12 million? How much? 12 million what? Just to travel from Kenya to Ethiopia on a private jet. The opulence. Welcome to Kenya, where a politician will be wearing a watch worth millions of money. The opulence. The billions of money being lost on daily basis. The former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, stated that we lose about 2 billion every day. 2 billion every day. He's part of the whole shenanigan, but the fact is that he told us the truth, that money is being lost every day. And then we want to come and tell people that we don't have capitations for school, we don't have money for, national health. And all the ideas that we are bringing about is ideas to steal from Kenyans, like SHA, the housing project. Those are scam projects. It's just a matter of time before, they scramble like cookies. Because they will. I said that the housing project is a good project, but it lacks proper framework. It lacks everything, every fundamental value for it to be called a project. And if the fact that Kenyans are paying from their pay slips and they will never get refunded that money back, they are funding it. The houses are being built on public lands using the Kenyan taxes. And then again, you still buy the houses. And you call it affordable. How affordable is it? Then the SHA, another scam. I think I'm just gonna leave it there.